Okay, I hope you had a chance to try to find out the initial conditions yourselves. Let me go ahead and take a crack at doing this. Okay, so our goal is to find the unknowns A1 and A2 from the initial conditions, where the initial conditions are given as V of 0 is 0 and I of 0 is 0. Okay, so from the first initial condition, let me go ahead and write down the equation for at time t equal to 0. So I set V of 0 equals 0. So at time t equal to 0, I get V of t, I'm writing this equation here, 0. So I get Vi. And if I substitute time t equal to 0 here and here, I just get A1 plus A2. So e raised to j omega naught 0 is 1, and e raised to minus j omega naught 0 is also 1. So I get my first equation by using V of 0 equals 0. Okay, now in order to do the next one, I got to use this little trick here, where, as I told you, I of t is equal to c dv dt. Okay, so I'm told that that is 0, so I of t is c dv dt. So let me go ahead and take dv dt out there. So c dv dt, so dv dt of the first part is a constant, so that is 0. Then for this guy, it is c times a1 times e raised to j omega naught t. I got to differentiate that with respect to t. So for differentiate that with respect to t, I get j omega naught coming down and e raised to j omega naught t. And then for the next part, I get a minus, let me just write down c a2 j omega naught e raised to minus j omega naught t. Okay, so I just obtained dv dt of this one and multiplied that out by c. So we know that given that I of t is equal to 0, so at time t equal to 0, so at t equal to 0, I of 0 is 0. So then this 0 is equal to this thing evaluated at time t equal to 0. So that this evaluated at t equals 0 is simply c a1 j omega naught minus c a2 j omega naught. Okay, and that equals 0. So I can simplify that. So c and c cancel out. J omega naught and j omega naught cancel out. Wow, that is pretty simple. So I get a1 equals a2. That was pretty simple. So from I of 0 equals 0, I get something very simple. A1 equals a2. Okay, and then I also know that from this expression here, a1 plus a2 plus vi equals 0. And since a1 equals a2, then I know now that a1 will be equal to minus vi divided by 2. Okay, so if a1 equals a2, then let's say replace that with the 2a1. So a1 will be minus vi divided by 2. So therefore a1 equals vi divided by 2, and that is also equal to a2. So if I take this expression here and substitute in for a1 and a2, what do I get? So I get v of t is equal to vi minus, okay, a1 is minus v by 2 and a2 is minus v by 2. Both are the same, so I get vi divided by 2. And I can collect up in parentheses e raised to j omega naught t plus e raised to minus j omega naught t. There you go. So there is my solution to the differential equation that I started out with. Okay, I'm still going to simplify it a little bit, so don't run off to the bank yet, but I've pretty much gotten the constants so far. Okay, let me, this is a bit unwieldy here. Let me simplify that a little bit. Before I give you the trick to simplify it further, when you see e raised to j something plus e raised to minus j something, what comes to your mind? So does it remind you of something? Well, I again refer you to Appendix C of the textbook, and that will give you the idea. So let's go ahead and simplify it. So I've rewritten my equation here, and I'm going to go ahead and simplify it.